Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners meeting, September 8th, 2025. First, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Miss Anna Mitchell.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we will have the approval of the agenda.
I'd like to pull new business B, the Old Bun Road annexation and plan development, and table it until our October regular board meeting.
So that would be B 2, 3, and 4.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? When you say amended, I mean, you're going to move this to another date? It's got to be.
Yes, sir. October to our October 6th meeting. 6 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of the agenda? Motion passes. Thank you. Public comment. Wait a minute. Let's see. We don't do that next. School recognition. Let's get that out of the way, and then we'll go to public comment. Commissioner Baxter.
Do you want me to do the student recognition first and then you do the?
Mm-hmm.
Anna Mitchell, would you join me, please? Hi. Anna Mitchell is a 5th grade student. It is a privilege to recognize Anna Mitchell for her outstanding achievements and exemplary character as a 5th grade student at Zebuln Gifted Talented Magnet Elementary School. Anna is among the top performing students in her class, consistently demonstrating a love of learning and a strong commitment to academic excellence. Her ability to stay laser focused on her goals sets her apart as a role model for her peers. Equally impressive is Anna's kindness and compassion. She treats others with respect, offering encouragement and friendship in ways that uplift our school community. Anna also shows wisdom beyond her years in choosing to rise above schoolhouse drama, modeling maturity and grace in her interactions. Anna represents the very best of Zebuln Elementary, bright, compassionate, and dedicated. We are proud of her accomplishments and grateful for the positive example she sets for others. The town of Zebuln recognizes Anna Mitchell of Zebuln Gifted and Talented Magnet Elementary School for being an outstanding student and a role model for other students. Signed this day, September 8th, 2025, by our mayor, Glenn L. York.
Next, we will have school recognition. Mr. Frank Adamowicz. Adamkevich. It's teacher recognition. It is with great pride and gratitude that we recognize Mr. Frank Adamkevich for his outstanding service and dedication to the Zebuln GT Magnet Elementary School and the broader community. As a national board certified teacher, Mr. Adamkevich demonstrates the highest level of professional excellence. His commitment to his students is evident in the remarkable academic growth they consistently achieve, as measured by the EVAAS beyond test scores in his class, and is a place where children are nurtured, challenged, and inspired to reach their fullest potential. Mr. Adamkevich exemplifies what it means to be a servant teacher. He devotes his life supporting others, both within our school and throughout our community. His presence enriches the lives of colleagues, families, and neighbors alike. We're deeply grateful for Mr. Adamkevich's unwavering dedication, passionate for service, and tireless pursuit of excellence. His impact reaches far beyond the classroom and stands as a shining example of what it means to truly make a difference. The town of Zebuln recognizes Mr. Frank Adamkevich, Zebuln GT Magnet Elementary School, for his dedication, his school, and its students. September 8, 2025, signed Mayor Glenn L. York. Next, public comment. Looks like we had one to sign for public comment. Miss Jennifer. Is she?
Holmes.
Acevedo Holmes.
I am here, so hello. Good evening, Mayor York, commissioners, and members of the community. My name is Jennifer Acevedo Holmes. I reside right here in Weaver's Pond in Zebuln. I'm also the founder and CEO of a Zebuln nonprofit called Community Culture Celebrations, also known as C3. And tonight, I want to briefly update you folks on two updates: our plans for the Latin American Festival and my personal participation in Launch Zebuln. For C3, our biggest initiative is bringing Zebulon's first Latin American Festival to life, a historic opportunity to celebrate culture, strengthen community, and welcome people across East Wake and beyond. On August 15th, I joined Parks and Recreation Director Sheila Long and Community and Economic Development Director Shannon Johnson. Alongside our partners at La Grande Radio, we went through a walkthrough at 5 County Stadium. While nothing is finalized, this is one of the possible venues we are exploring with the town. Our original plan was to propose our proposal this September, but based on some guidance that we received from Sheila, she requested if we can wait until November. This would allow the town to connect with the new stadium tenant and gather necessary information so that when we come before you with our proposal, it reflects clear roles, responsibilities, and financial details. The second update I want to share is about Launch Zebulon. I want to thank the town for its participation and partnership with Wake Tech Community College and Zebulon Chamber of Commerce in making this program possible. It's fantastic to see Zebulon leading the way in supporting entrepreneurs. I am truly honored to be part of the second cohort, which includes 19 entrepreneurs building their businesses all throughout Zebuln. For me, this is an exciting opportunity to grow my coaching business while also offering speaking opportunities and services and inspire and empower true change makers in our community. The program is already providing a powerful resource guided by a fantastic instructor, and I'm truly grateful to be learning alongside other entrepreneurs. So I ultimately want to say thank you for your time, your leadership, and walking alongside us as we build something very meaningful together in Zebuln. Thank you.
Did we have any emails or letters for public comment? Thank you. Next on the agenda is housing study presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for your time. I want to give you a short update on a project that we've just started. In our economic development strategy, we found 5 areas of need, and one of them is inclusive economy, and that really is building a sustainable economy, one that is not only measured by the number of jobs and the increased tax revenue, but also by preserving the quality of life for existing and legacy residents, promoting services and amenities for the growing population. It's a interesting, unique combination of what a sustainable economy looks like here in Zebuln. The first action item under inclusive economy is performing a housing study. And in that housing study, would utilize some demographic data to determine what our needs are now and in the future. So I did include in the RFQ that we have a small demographic report with as much updated information as we can get as a community that has grown this quickly since the last census. And so that was part of the request. We received 11 proposals, and after evaluating those proposals, the team had 2 with highest score, and those 2 were interviewed, and we ultimately chose TPMA. And tonight, we do have the team lead, Aaron Finley, who is going to walk us through a few slides introducing themselves, the team that'll be working with us, talking about what activities they're going to undertake, and then kind of what the outcome you can expect from this study. So I'll turn it over to Aaron to say hello, and then we'll run through their their presentation, sorry. Aaron, we see you.
Hello, everyone. Commissioners, thank you for having me today. I didn't quite hear all of the intros. I think there was a bit of a delay, but happy to be here today. My name is Aaron Finley. I am serving as the co-lead for this project today, the housing study and data analytics report. Just wanted to come and introduce this project a little bit, introduce our team, and answer any questions you have about the efforts we are undertaking. So, just quickly, I'm not sure if you can see any of the slides.
We're going to do that now. Yeah.
So, great.
All right, our first slide is up.
Wonderful, thank you. I can see that. So there I am, here for the project co-lead. Was unable to be joined today, but then I'll ask you to serve as co-lead with me with TPMA. And then, as you see, Connor Lundell, a research specialist, and Aaron Brown, our data analyst. This is the team that's going to be working on the housing needs, the housing study and demographic analysis. And we're really excited to work with you. The next slide, please. And as we look at the project objectives, as Shannon mentioned, a big part of what we're trying to accomplish here is understand kind of where we are now. It's been a lot of growth, a lot of changes going on, I think over the last, say, 5 to 10 years. And we want to kind of understand where we are now, both when we think about the housing metrics, also those demographics, as best we can provide updates. Typically, in a study like this, we would use a lot of publicly available data, but with Zebuln, recent growth has happened so fast, we want to try to get a good understanding of where we are today. And part of that is also the plan for some continued projected growth as well. And part of the thing that we want to think about is not necessarily how we can grow, how we can grow as big as possible. That's not what we're accomplishing. What we want to make sure is if we are seeing kind of growth that is forecasted, how we can actually avoid the kind of big pitfalls that a lack of planning might kind of bring with it when growth is forecasted, when growth does happen. Of course, we also want to align that with economic development goals of managing that growth and avoiding displacement, and a lot of the great work that Shannon and her team has been doing there as well. Identifying gaps in the housing market ecosystem. What we want to do is try to take a good understanding of where we are now, as I mentioned earlier, when we think about those housing market metrics, try to understand what we have existing in the kind of housing market in your supply right now, and also understand where there might be gaps that we want to think about addressing, whether that's to meet our current needs or potentially the future needs down the line. So we want to set up a resilient and robust economy moving forward for the town of Zebuln. So we want to think about not just kind of creating, maybe the biggest, most beautiful homes possible in all cases, but really think about what that variety of housing types might look like and how we can facilitate that wide variety. Thinking about options for workers, for service providers, first-time home buyers, downsizing seniors, and really kind of covering all of our bases in what I like to call the kind of housing life cycle. And then finally, we want to put together a set of recommendations that are realistic for Zebuln. And this is really important for a lot of the work we do. If I come into every single community and say, well, here's the same recommendations I made for Denver, Colorado last year, that's not always going to be effective. No two communities are the same, and we shouldn't really kind of think about really, how we approach things in other places. But really think about is it presenting recommendations that are realistic, that are achievable, and are going to work there for the town of Zebuln. Next slide. So the big question, and again, I'll try to move quickly, but this is the question everybody has: what is affordable housing? We just want to kind of think a little bit about what housing affordability means. So if we go with the HUD definition, the U.S. Department of Housing, Urban Development, they define a house as affordable. A household is affordable if that household income, only up to 30% of that income is being spent on housing costs. Now, really important, housing costs here don't just mean mortgage or rent, but they could also mean utilities, insurance, HOAs, and a variety of things that all kind of together arrive at what we think of when we say housing costs. So if a household spends more than 30% of that income on housing costs, they are considered to be cost burden. And if the household spends 30% of that income on all those housing costs, that's what's considered severe cost burden. And when they say cost burden or severe cost burden, that is defined as a household who is spending so much on housing costs that other kind of survival costs So maybe that's transportation, maybe that's school, maybe that's clothing, maybe that's food. Other necessities in their household are being threatened by how much is being spent on housing costs. So all of these are calculated based on against what's called the area median income, or AMI. That's also calculated by HUD, and it is defined as the median household income for the region. So in this case, it doesn't just mean Zebuln. Maybe that means all of East Wake County or something like this. But these are defined by the region. They're calculated by HUD. And that 30% threshold we talked about is used along with that area median income to start to calculate different subsidies for qualifying households. And that's when you start to think about what is often referred to as low income or affordable housing. They use the 30% threshold and area median income to make some of those calculations. So when we think about affordable housing, those are some basic definitions. But what we really want to figure out with the study is what does affordability mean for Zebuln, which might be different than what it means for Raleigh, for example. So a couple of the questions I want to see to ask. What does it cost to buy, own, or rent housing in Zebuln? Who can and can't afford these costs? And we also want to know what is available at different price ranges in the market. So not just what is affordable for different people, different households, but also what is available in those areas of affordability. We're also going to look at what is missing, maybe out of balance. Think about this as the housing market. And then ultimately, what are those potential impacts that this could have now, but also on the future of Zebuln as, that forecasted growth I just talked about. So we want to think about kind of what could happen if we keep on the same path, or maybe don't have a wide variety of housing types available, and think about what those economic impacts might be. Next slide, please.
Oh, sure.
So, just a quick overview here of the kind of things we're trying to accomplish and also our timeline. So we did start in early August there when we launched our project, so we are just getting underway. Right now we are getting prepared for our stakeholder interviews and also our public input survey and community and stakeholder workshops. So we're going to have our team on the ground there in October. We're getting ready for right now. We're going to hold some community workshops, kind of an open house format, and also talk to some of the stakeholders in and around the area. We've already been doing work actually in East Wake County with one of your neighboring towns there as well. So already kind of have a little bit of a running start with getting to know some of the area and establishing some of our relationships with Wake County itself and the staff there. And again, we'll be launching a public input survey. This is going to be a good opportunity, hopefully be a good distribution, and ask a number of questions of community members. Really, in order to pull data, and we are going to pull a lot of data, we also want to make sure that what we can pull from our computers matches the lived experience on the ground. So that's where that public input survey, community workshops are going to help us kind of understand, I guess, the full picture. Sounds good. So as we think about going towards the end of the year, we'll have a complete draft report, and we're going to have that for you before the calendar turns over. We'll have the opportunity for commissioners there to provide some feedback on our plan. And then as we do turn the calendar, we're looking at January. We'll be looking at producing the final report for you. So on my last slide, I just have a couple of reminders. We are going to be doing that in-person engagement, that community input meeting on October 7th. And then that stakeholder workshop on October 9th. And on the 8th, in the meantime, we're going to be processing a lot of information we get from the input meeting. We're doing some site tours and kind of getting our hands and eyes, I guess, as on the community there, because that's always a huge part of making sure we can produce something that makes sense for your community. There is going to be a public input survey that's going to be open all of next month, as I mentioned, and stakeholder interviews. We're all going to be trying to do this at the same time. October is going to be a big month for our project. And that is going to be one of the opportunities where commissioners and anybody else, part of the community, really help us with our distribution efforts and really have this be a successful visit and a successful project.
So we can, I think that,
Yeah, sorry, I can open up and take any questions.
Any questions? Comments from board? Commissioner Baxter?
All right, so you gather all of this information about what our community looks like and what our housing stock is, and then you present it. And then what do we as a community do with that information so that we're getting value from this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think one of the things that we're going to do is, it's not just necessarily that data report, but we are going to have some recommendations based on best practices from some comparably sized communities, communities that have been through similar phases of growth. Those recommendations are going to be built around the findings that we have in those data reports. So let's, as a hypothetical situation, let's say it is determined that Zebuln needs more aging in place options for seniors. So we might, and again, we're early in the process, that might not necessarily be what those recommendations are. I'm just giving an example, but maybe we'll think about putting together recommendations around making sure that there are smaller single level options that are good aging in place opportunities, which will allow a little more turnover in the market, which is a good thing, and create good opportunities for aging in place that are not necessarily age restricted or something like that. So that just might be one of the kinds of recommendations you'll see for like this. And then our goal would be to establish and present some best practices to show how steps can be taken to accomplish filling in some of those gaps in the housing market, if that makes sense.
So you'll have steps for us, because, I mean, obviously, the town of Zebulon is not going to be, become developers, and we're not going to be out there building housing itself, and we're going to have to rely on the development community. So you're saying that your recommendations are going to include like how we engage in those conversations with the development community to get what Zebulon needs?
Yeah, so that's actually a fantastic example. So that's right, we're not necessarily saying the town of Zebulon should be breaking ground and building any homes or anything like that. A lot of, in fact, almost all of the development you're going to have, either in Zebulon or anywhere else, is going to be done by developers, by investors, by private industry. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure that Zebulon's in a position to identify the types of developers who might be interested in trying to facilitate those, filling those housing gaps, or maybe what it'll be is, just again as an example, identifying some barriers that exist in land use ordinances or zoning policy or anything like that that might be keeping some developers from being interested in providing the types of housing that's necessary. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but certainly we're not going to be suggesting that the town, be building any of these types of units. It's about kind of creating an environment that identifies the types that are needed and then finding ways to facilitate or encourage or partner directly with maybe developers in some cases to provide that type of missing housing.
So you'll be working with not only economic development, but I'm assuming you're going to be heavily involved with the planning department as you look over the codes and ordinances?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, working with planning is going to be an important piece of all of this because, what we'll find is that in some cases, if we just work with economic development, or we just work with planning, for example, that doesn't really kind of fully address all of the moving pieces that would need to be discussed, and kind of all moving in one direction, all moving towards the same vision. So the goal would be to work with
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Thank you.
Aaron, and appreciate your time, and you'll see Aaron again in January.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for me?
None at this time.
Okay,
Not for me.
thank you very much.
Proclamations, we have a couple. Commissioner Harrison.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, the town will be reading 2 proclamations from 2 trailblazers that have had great impact here in the community. The first proclamation is for Dr. Mary Ethel Perry. Proclamation, Mary Ethel Perry, October 15th, 1929 through August 18th, 2025. Whereas on October 15th, 1929, Mary E. Perry was born in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to Mary Blanche Williams and Eddie Williams, and moved to Wendell, North Carolina when she was 6 years old and lived there the rest of her life. And whereas Mary Perry graduated from James E. Shepherd High School in 1948, and whereas Mary Perry has 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and a few great-grandchildren, and whereas she was described as honest, independent, strong-willed, and a servant leader, God-fearing, dedicated, generous, a mentor, and one who loved unconditionally. And whereas Miss Mary Perry worked for many years in the prison system, and many of the ladies would reach out to her when she was released and thanked her, when they were released and thanked her. And whereas she had a passion for serving others and young people, she served in many roles at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church and was a mentor and advisor to the NAACP Youth Council. And whereas she was known for being the first African American to be elected president of the Wake County Democratic Party. And whereas Mary E. Perry was the longest serving president of any chapter of the NAACP in the state of North Carolina. She served as president of the Wendell Wake NAACP for 41 years. Now, therefore, I, Glenn L. York, mayor of the town of Zebuln, North Carolina, do hereby recognize Mary Ethel Perry for her selfless giving to the community, her inspirational work in North Carolina NAACP, and her love for God and family. Signed the 29th day of August, 2025, Mayor Glenn L. York. Next proclamation is for Bishop John J. Mangum, and his family is here to receive this proclamation, and you're welcome to come up at this time. Thank you. And I will try not to say Uncle John as I read this, as Bishop Mangum was also my uncle, and I am so honored to have the opportunity to read this proclamation in his honor. Proclamation, Bishop John J. Mangum, February 2nd, 1930 to August 14th, 2025. Whereas on February 2nd, 1930, John J. Mangum was born in Wake County, North Carolina, to Ennis and Lashi Carpenter Mangum, and moved to Providence, Rhode Island, where he grew up. And whereas John Mangum moved back to North Carolina and in 1946 was scouted to play baseball for the Boston Red Sox. However, he ended up playing in Lewisburg, North Carolina, alongside his brother. And whereas in 1948, he met and later married his wife, Beatrice Freeman Mangum, and they grew to a family of 6, raising that family in Wendell, North Carolina, off of Raleigh Hill Road. And whereas John Mangum was an amazing entrepreneur, owning and running multiple companies, he was a tile layer and a contractor that developed several subdivisions in the Wendell area. And whereas John Mangum was committed to the welfare of the people and a true advocate for all, he led marches in Zebuln to unite the community, was dedicated to volunteering in the prison ministry, served on the board for Wake County Foster Parents and Wake Opportunities. His desire to implement equitable practices in Zebuln was very well known and appreciated. And whereas the most important thing to Bishop Mangum was his relationship with God, family, and sharing that relationship with all he met. Having been a member of Raleigh Hill Baptist Church, where he accepted the call to preach and went on to receive a certificate from Shaw Divinity School and multiple other trainings to further his education. And whereas his dedication to God led him to founding the Hand of God Church in Zebuln, North Carolina, where there was a weekly food, there was and still is a weekly food distribution during the week and on Saturdays to feed those in need in our community. Bishop Mangum was the pastor for 9 churches, over 65 years of service to God. Now, therefore, I, Glenn L. York, Mayor of the town of Zebuln, North Carolina, do hereby recognize Bishop John J. Mangum for his selfless service to the people of our community, Wake County, and the state of North Carolina, and most of all for his love of God and his family. Signed the 8th day of September, 2025, Mayor Glenn L. York.
Next, Seed Community Foundation, Ms. Karen Farmer.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for letting me come before you and residents to discuss the Seed Community Foundation. Tonight, what I'm here to really do is to give you a little bit of an understanding and a background about what the foundation does, and then to talk about an ask that we have for something around green space in the Zebuln community. So the agenda, as I mentioned, you can go to the next slide. The real mission of the Seed Community Foundation is around SEED, which is support, S, E, educate, E, empower, and D, develop. We were founded in about 3 years ago in Washington, D.C. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that focuses primarily on affordable housing, educating students, seniors, veterans, as well as my favorite, which is green space sustainability. We have deep-rooted foundation for our core values, which is around community service, integrity, and sustainability. You can go to the next slide. So our focus is initiatives. I mentioned, were founded in Washington, D.C. In the D.C. area, we have what we call a food disparity. Our primary location is Southeast Washington, D.C. If anyone is familiar with that, that's Ward 8. It's sort of a very quote-unquote rough side of the town. But we have great joy in what we're doing there, and we'll go into deep discussion in the next one. We also do community research and development, as well as youth development. So that might look like tutoring, that's community gardens for children, community, just uplifting them, and we do some scholarships. The next slide, please. Here again, in Washington, the counseling services includes a lot of things around family special needs, some life skills for families, single parents, not just mothers, but fathers as well. We have in DC a multi-use development effort that we're undergoing where it's going to be primarily 50 units of affordable housing for veterans and seniors, as well as daycare. There will be a rooftop garden, and there will be a sort of a pharmacy, because there'll be seniors in the vision for that. In addition, in DC, we have a partnership with Trader Joe's, where we weekly provide food in a pantry to those in need in the community. And you can go to the next slide. So I spent a lot of time talking about Washington, DC, which is where I'm from, but we moved here to the Zebuln area approximately 2 years ago, and it was such a breath of fresh air. The pace, the people, I had some preconceived notions, but we immediately saw a need and a way that we could contribute to the community. As a result, I joined the Zebuln Gardens Club, and I am the chair of our community events, as well as chair of our awards. And so I might have seen many of you out and about at Candy Cane Lane or any of the things where we shut down downtown, and we're doing a lot of fun stuff for the Garden Club. In addition to the Garden Club, I was recently elected to the board of directors for the chamber here last month, actually. And so we've been a member of the chamber for a few years, but we're really trying to marry what we're doing in the community as well as the small business. And so we see that that could be a big role. And recently, we're kicking off a partnership, with the Zebuln Boys and Girls Club. We are tomorrow or Wednesday having what we're calling Straightening the Beds. They have a lovely outdoor collaboration space. We are donating 10 to 15 memberships for students there, and we're starting a garden club. Hopefully that garden club will eventually be registered with the Garden Club of North Carolina, as we have done with another garden club. Many of you may or may not have heard of the Governor Moorhead School. That's in Raleigh. It's a school for the blind and visually impaired. At that school, the students live there Monday through Friday. So we have a very aggressive garden club that we've established with them. And so we want to bring a lot of those same kinds of things, our love for gardening, you'd be surprised that the garden club in Raleigh is 15 children, 14 are boys. So here again, I'm moving to this area thinking, oh my goodness, no one's going to be interested. All the girls were like, no, no, no. And the boys wanted to do it, but they wanted a cool name, so they're called the Dirt Diggers. The Dirt Diggers are wonderful. We kick that off at the end of the month. We also have been in talks with, and thank you, Commissioner Quinton, with the Zebuln Magnet Middle School to do a beautification effort. That's taking a little bit longer run time, but we think that that will kick off hopefully this year or maybe in the spring. And then in Durham, we are doing the Durham Nativity School. That is a school for Black and brown boys. It's a small private school that is considered a nonprofit, so it's really special to us. There's about 50 boys, 5th grade through 8th grade, and they too have a garden green space that we're leveraging there. And so I'm saying all this to say that we have some presence in, and we have some experience, a lot of experience, that we'd like to, next slide please, propose that we bring some volunteers, increase our volunteer base here in Zebuln so that we can do a lot of more community engagement. And you're welcome to contact us at seedstrategicpartners@gmail.com if you're interested in getting out, whether it's the garden club or helping us with any of our mission to educate students about the gardens. Next slide. Some of our objectives is to broaden our reach. We have had initial conversations with the Zebuln House. We'd like to see us bridge the gap between young and the seasoned. I won't say old, but seasoned. And so we're looking at doing something where we do beautification at the Zebuln House for residents. They have a beautiful outside space. I guess it's called the Memory Center, would have access to that. But that has no flowers, no life other than green. But there is also a courtyard that we'd like to do a mural and kind of come in and do some things around the house. So broaden our reach. as well as we are in negotiations with Florida to do something around Disney with introducing children to gardening and kind of animation and doing some interesting things there. So again, looking at deepening our partnerships that exist and those that are in the works, and securing funding. The way that we get funding is knocking on doors. No, just kidding. We do a lot of grants. In my prior life was a director at Zebuln in cybersecurity, so I'm all the way a geek and STEM, person, and I enjoy writing. So we do grants. We have a lot of donors, and we have partnerships. The next slide. So what is the ask here? Why am I before you this evening? It's to talk about the community garden that could be here in Zebuln. There are many benefits to having a community garden beyond the obvious, which is, everybody's big on let's save the green space, let's do something, let's see plant and grow. We want to demonstrate that there is a collaboration for diversity of people, diversity of faith, diversity of ages, all coming together around a common goal, which is to sustain and ensure that we keep our green spaces lively and utilize them to the best ability. And so what we're envisioning is something that's around town. The particular identification of the lot has not been determined, and you'll see when we get to the end, there's a few outstanding or next steps that would need to be determined. But we are prepared, and we have, in fact, done this before, to create gardens from scratch. There's ways that it can be in-ground gardens as well as raised gardens. And the way that we can get a collaboration is to leverage my role with the chamber to talk with some of the businesses to sponsor different lots and beds. We would have citizens be part of the rotation for bedwetters, as we call them, as well as planters. And then also we're looking at just the residents having an ability to rally together and be responsible for something together. And then ultimately, far-reaching is this community garden, then the harvest and the produce from it will be used for perhaps a community market or those that need food, as well as some of the, I know there's a women's shelter that's recently in the area. And so there's ways to use those produce to really help the community. There are also some needs with establishing a designated team, and that's what Seed is here this evening to talk about, that we are positioned and poised to take the lead on kind of building out what would this look like. So we would need a leadership team, a strategic plan, timelines, established rules of engagement for those that would be utilizing the green space. In some cases, community gardens have locked fences. In other cases, they're kind of open. So there's many, many things that would need to go into it. This is intended to bring this before the mayor and the commissioners, the board, to consider. And then there certainly needs to be some time to really noodle through and think through what the process would be. In addition to the community garden, there's also the lovely alleyways that has a big downtown project. I know that that's already a team that's established, and we have spoken with some from Parks and Rec, but there would be even just a green area in the designated alleyway. The funding would come from the funds that Seed would be able to contribute, as well as the town. And there is a grant called that T-Mobile every quarter does a grant, and it's for specifically small towns, rural, 10,000 or less, and it's $50,000 towards a community project. So that's on our radar. While we might as well say it's mid-September and the deadline September 30th, it might be more reasonable for us to pursue this next quarter if this is something the town would like to pursue, or have us come back and give you additional details. Next slide. Okay. And finally, there's a few recommended next steps for this. a decision about a community garden and identifying the location? Or would we migrate to something like maybe start with a cohesive park look and feel? We are known as the Bee City, and what does that mean? Should each of our park areas have a designated pollination area or native plants area? Those are things that could be considered. And then a partner agreement, securing funding, establishing who's doing what and who's responsible for what. And definitely a detailed strategic plan and program plan for execution. What's not up here is you also want metrics. You want to kind of consistently measure the progress and the pros and cons and shift when things are working or not. This is very much not only the plants live, the people are alive and things change. And then we would need to engage the community and see, how we would fold in responsible persons and then ultimately execute the program. I thank you for this opportunity to present a little bit about the Seed Community Foundation and our idea to spearhead a community garden here in Zebuln. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions, comments from the board?
I was just thinking, this might be a great opportunity for the Sustainability Board that we just recently appointed.
I didn't hear.
So we've recently appointed a Sustainability Board here for the town, and this seems like an ideal alignment for what we have, charged them to do within the community. I love everything that you've talked about here. I think it's a great opportunity, but I would love to partner or to see how we can collaborate, because some of your presentation said, the leadership team and a board, and we've kind of already established that with the Sustainability Board. So I would love to see how we can sit and see how we could maybe collaborate with that board and the Seed Community Foundation. I think it would be a great opportunity. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I will reach out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Miles, go ahead.
Just put a plug into it as well. We've always talked about something where it was pretty much citizen-driven. This is an opportunity where we can do that. It won't put so much strain on the staff. We can figure out what that looks like. But I think this is a great opportunity to do that.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
I just thank Ms. Farmer for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Next on the agenda, we need approval for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. New business. Fire.
He's wearing several hats.
Good evening. This is a huge step in our fire station project, one that I know I've certainly been looking forward to, and I know a lot of you have as well. Tonight, to recap what's happened, I came to you last month, and we took some really significant steps, but I want to recap because when I left here, a lot of big things happened during the month since I was here at your August meeting. One, not only did you authorize the interlocal agreement, but Wake County showed their concurrence and authorized the agreement as well. And we received that agreement back just today with all the signatures, the many signatures that it takes for both our board as well as their board. The Local Government Commission adopted or approved the project as presented. That was a big milestone. There's a lot of financial pieces as well, and the Local Government Commission's approval was a big part of that. And in the loan, our financial commitment for this project was finalized and closed, and we've received those funds. We have those in hand, so we've got the money that we need for our part of the project. So August was a big month for our fire EMS station project. You may recall that we're using a CMAR project, which is a construction manager at risk. We selected Monteith as that construction manager at risk, and they've been working through our project. And one of their requirements is to submit us a guaranteed maximum price. That's what we based all of the different loans, the different shares, in a non-CMAR environment. That would be our bid. But in a CMAR environment, a guaranteed maximum price, because the construction manager is charged with looking for efficiencies. So they give us a maximum price. We always hope they'll bring the project in cheaper than that. That submittal was reviewed by our design team, which is our local design team, our Wake County, especially Wake County Facility Design and Construction, and the architectural staff. And again, that number was not necessarily new, because that's what all the loan and everything else was based upon. So what's in front of us tonight, now that we've got all the pieces of the puzzle, we've got the loan, the county is in the process of transferring their part of the money. USDA has signed off. The last piece of the puzzle to get this ball rolling is for your approval of the guaranteed maximum price. Number one, because there could be potentially amendments to that as we go through this project. But awarding this contract as our selected construction manager at risk, Monteith, for building construction work for the fire and EMS station. And also with that, we ask that you authorize the mayor to execute the contract documents with Monteith. There's probably going to be a couple pieces of paper that we'll need to get Mayor York to sign to make all of this happen. So we'll work with Mayor York and the town attorney to get the documents to produce that. So. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have. We do have a staff recommendation. I come bearing really wordy motions tonight, so we tried to put a sample one together for you should you would like to exercise that.
Any questions, comments from the board?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to move to approve the guaranteed maximum price. Number one, contract in the amount of $13,930,277.26 with the previously selected construction manager at risk, Monteith Construction Corporation, for the building construction work for the fire/EMS station, and to authorize the mayor to execute contract documents with Monteith Construction Corporation, establishing the terms, conditions, and GMP number one, and with said contract documents to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll vote. Commissioner Baxter.
Favor.
Commissioner Miles.
Favor.
Commissioner Harrison.
Favor.
Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you very much for your support. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention our next step. On the lawn, October 1st at 10 a.m., we'll be taking some shovels and turning over some dirt. We're looking forward to that. You may see, I'll go ahead and tell you, you may see Monteith and their various subcontractors begin to mobilize. We're going to, as soon as we can get all the paperwork drafted, we're going to put them on their timeline to begin the construction project. But they know that our groundbreaking is a very important part, and we've invited quite a few elected officials, including yourselves, to that event. But I want to go ahead and put that date and time out. We certainly welcome anybody to come out and be a part of a very monumental undertaking. So we're looking forward to that. Mayor, I'll just move right to the next item if you'd like, sir. Our next item is the adoption of the Wake County Emergency Operations Plan and Mutual Aid Agreement. These are two documents. And if you look at emergency management from the county's perspective, and it's important to see these are county agreements, and we are partners to these agreements. And I point that out. There's three basic parts to the county's emergency management plan, no different than what ours would be locally. But it's the hazard mitigation plan, which you adopted just a couple of months ago as the county updated their hazard mitigation plan. We're a big part of that as well. It's their emergency operations plan, which is that framework for handling emergencies. Mutual aid agreement, and it allows us how we work together in response. And I'll go into just a little bit more detail about those. But they're all big pieces that go together for managing emergencies within our county. So the Wake County EOP this is the first update that we've seen to this document since COVID came through, and COVID caused a lot of updates to the document when it came. But the foundations remain mostly unchanged, but it's just been modernized. Whenever you look at these emergency operations plans, there's a lot of federal guidance that goes into how these things are to be constructed. So the county can't go way off one way or the other. That's very intentional. It is that way because if resources are needed from other states, especially if you look at some of the recent flooding and hurricane and those types of events, and if resources are pulled in from other parts of the country, the foundation has to be fairly similar to what they're used to. So that national framework, some of us know that there were major changes made after 9/11 to standardize the national framework. So the EOP itself is pretty constant across the country. They updated their continuity of operations plan. That's a good little thing to do because that's a project we're also getting ready to kick off locally as we determine what happens when things go wrong within our system and what are our backup plans. So the county is updating their system of backup plans, if you will. Demographics, assets, logistical positions, roles, responsibilities. It's just the big plan. I like to think of, when you think of the county EOP, large scale events. You know, when a hurricane comes through, it doesn't just affect Zebuln. It affects the entire county. And typically the Wake County EOP is the guiding document. When we figure out how we declare emergencies, if the county declares a state of emergency and how does that affect us and back up, that's all the type of language that's within the emergency operations plan. Obviously, we're a partner, we're a participant in that. When large events happen, we're pushing information up, we're helping out just as all the other municipalities are. The mutual aid agreement was last updated in 2014. Some jurisdictions have not updated the current mutual aid agreement since 1998. So it did need a little bit of work. And this is where we all help each other. And this is a very, very wide scope. NC General Statute 166A provides guidance on how that is to happen. But it could be anywhere from Public Works sending crews to a neighboring municipality maybe a tornado goes through a neighboring municipality and they need crews to help clean the streets. I know we've done that a couple of times, but we've certainly been the recipient of those in years past. And that mutual aid agreement, we put this in place. It's between all the municipalities. It's between the county. And when those events happen, we don't have to worry about, do we have the legal part taken care of? This takes care of that. So it talks about reimbursement qualifications. It talks about how we request assistance. And it has the liability protection for the responders to make sure people are taken care of when they're operating outside of their home area, if you will. So the homework in front of us tonight, if you will, is adoption of the Wake County Emergency Operations Plan and authorizing Mayor York to sign this document. And then the mutual aid agreement, again, is an updated version. And this one is, and these are the way the county had them set up, but the town manager would sign this document to show that our participation as well. So likewise, I'll answer any questions you may have, and I've got a sample motion should you choose to adopt it.
Any questions, comments from the board?
I would like to recommend the adoption of the Wake. Well, there we go. I would like to make a motion to approve the adoption of the Wake County Emergency Operations Plan and authorize the mayor to sign the document, and to approve the adoption of the Wake County Mutual Aid Agreement and authorize the town manager to sign the agreement.
Second.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No discussion. Just thank you, Chris, for all this hard work with that. Now, so.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll vote, Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Commissioner Harrison.
Favor.
Commissioner Miles.
Favor.
Commissioner Baxter.
Favor.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, 301 Jones Street and 108 Pierces Road. Matt?
Board. And in front of you tonight is a strict rezoning of 301 Jones Street and 108 Pierces Road. Just as a reminder, when evaluating a yay or nay vote on a rezoning, there's particular standards in which the Unified Development Ordinance requires you to weigh this yay or nay vote against health, safety, general welfare, appropriateness, reasonableness, and potentially other relevant factors. The property in question, the applicant is O'Kane and Associates. The property owners is CP Enterprises of North Carolina, LLC. The property address has been stated. The PIN is on the screen. It is 1.9 acres, and the requested entitlement is to rezone the property to GC General Commercial. This slide here shows that the town has met and then exceeded its public hearing notification requirements for this rezoning. The current zoning of the property is R2, Residential 2. And it is surrounded by a variety of different types of zoning, office and institutional to the north. To the south and the southeast is R2 and heavy commercial. To the east is R2, and to the west is R2 and residential multifamily. Zoning is not planning. Zoning is a tool we use to achieve the citizens' comprehensive plan. And as part of that comprehensive plan is the future land use map. So when we get a zoning request, the first thing we do is compare the request to the future land use map. Is it aligned? Does it fit? And this slide features bullets that are copied from the comprehensive plan that show that in staff's opinion, it does fit. The future land use map for these two parcels of the types of things that could occur on this parcel, one of them is commercial, retail, and service uses at varying scales and development intensities depending on the site, and with the potential incorporation of residential use as zoning allows. The requested entitlement is to general commercial, and staff feels that that is aligned with this statement here. In addition to comprehensive plan alignment, staff also reviews strict rezoning against adopted policy. In the 2030 strategic plan, the board talks about growing smart, promoting commercial development where infrastructure exists. Promoting infill commercial development is a manifestation of growing smart. Rezoning this property from R2 to GC would achieve that. And there's also a small business and equity component to this as well. We talk a lot about affordable housing, but affordable housing, in my opinion, is part of the battle, right? There's also affordable small business development. How do we bring equity to business development and bringing more types of investors to the marketplace? And one of that is keeping or creating opportunities on smaller lots. This does that. So this creates a smaller lot that's zoned general commercial. And the Jones Street connection that was approved a couple meetings ago by this commission opens up development on that corridor with lots of other smaller lots and potential additional equity considerations in the old Wakefield town site. So staff recommends approval of ordinance 2026-10. We find that the project is consistent with the Grow Zebuln future land use plan. And upon approval, the community can expect an infill parcel to be rezoned from R2 to GC, general commercial, which will enable a broad range of commercial uses. The planning board also recommended approval of this unanimously. There's a sample motion on the screen, but the applicant is here. The applicant wants to come up and say a few words, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure the applicant can as well.
Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank the town and thank the commissioners for their consideration. Definitely appreciate Matt working along with me, the planning board, working alongside, create something to move the existing business that we currently have here in Zebuln, move it to a larger location so we can grow and serve this community more.
With that said, Mayor, I'd like to make a
Any
motion.
questions or comments from the board?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Got a question?
So, Matt, will you please, I'm sorry, Mr. Lauer, will you please go over what the transportation impact is going to be on Jones Street with this project moving forward?
So that would depend on the intensity of what gets built on the site. And so the rezoning itself doesn't trigger a transportation impact assessment or study. What does is what happens with the rezoning. So let's say, for example, the applicant builds a small grocery store on the site, right? That's a different transportation impact than, say, a dental office. Both of those are allowed in general commercial. So that's that next step that answers that question.
I guess overall, I'm just looking for a reiteration that there is going to be some kind of transportation improvements if this project, it moves forward depending on how it's developed.
Sure. So two things will happen. One is going to happen, and then one can happen or will happen should the board choose to approve this rezoning. So the first one is there's that section of Jones Street that runs, if you look at the yellow line, the farthest north horizontal yellow line, there's a chunk of Jones Street that currently is not built. Another developer is building that chunk. And so we have there's three missing chunks of Jones Street. Two are in line to be built by developers, and one is part of a proposal that's not fully ready to go to the board yet, but you'll see that soon. So anyways, Jones Street will be fully connected by private sector dollars. So that will happen. The second piece is that as that site develops, the site that we're talking about today, as this site develops, that developer will have to provide all the additional improvements, and that includes sidewalks, potential curb and gutter improvements and things like that as well. What those look like specifically, again, that's a use-specific thing that we're not there yet.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, I'd just like to make a motion, Mayor.
Yep. Did you have a,
No, go ahead. You got it? You have a question? You have a question?
which one wants to make the motion? I don't know. Since y'all making them. Somebody else want to make a motion?
I'll make it.
But go ahead.
I move to approve ordinance 2026-10, finding that the action is reasonable, consistent with the Zebuln Comprehensive Land Use Plan, and compliant with UDO Section 2.2.25J, as described in the prepared statement per UDO Section 2.2.15G3.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll vote. Commissioner Davis.
Favor.
Commissioner Harrison.
Favor.
Commissioner Baxter.
Favor.
Commissioner Miles.
Favor.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Next is the manager's report.
I've got a few items just to go over with you tonight on behalf of Ty and behalf of those who are left at home and are not overseas. So, but we certainly look forward to getting Ty back home safely and wish them the best in their travels. On the key personnel hiring, just to give you a couple of updates with that, 51 applications have been received so far for town manager. The next step will be, as HR will begin to review them and present the most qualified back to the board for you to consider and start making your selections there. Within the chief of police, interviews have been scheduled for the first week of October. Our goal is to have a final candidate by about the third week of October, so that process is moving along as well. The executive assistant to the manager, about 200 applications have been received for that position. So quite a bit of selection and going through to put that one together. Interviews will be conducted mid-September, so we're getting closer to actually interviewing people for that position. When it comes to our communications manager, NP Strategies continues to meet our communications needs. However, we're going to begin interviewing candidates for this position as soon as possible to get a permanent communications manager in. And then last but certainly not least, with the town clerk's position, once the status of our current clerk is determined, we'll kind of evaluate when to open that position. But in the meantime, we're very thankful to have Dora at the helm taking care of things. And if you can't see it, but she's even keeping me straight over here, and I appreciate that. So I appreciate all the help I can get. A couple other items just for your information. In your agenda packet was the monthly financial report with a lot of specific information. That's for your review, and certainly if you have questions, Bobby Fitz would be a great one to follow up with as you look through that and read over that. And then just a couple other things. Last week, we did have an instance where the planning department was impersonated, if you will, as someone sent out a request to collect fees on behalf of the planning department. So we've done a social media campaign, but we certainly want to reinforce that for anyone who may be looking. Just be really, really careful when you get those requests for funding. We don't request wire transfers of funding, but my biggest advice, and I think Tanya would echo it if she were here, if someone gets a request that just doesn't look right or have any questions, just reach out to our staff. We would welcome the chance just to confirm those, but we don't want to see anybody put their money to something that was where it was not intended. And then last thing I'll bring up for you this evening, your September work session is scheduled for September 18th. The main item for you on that night is the strategic plan grants and the discussion of that. It's just an informational meeting, but if it's the board pleasure, we could potentially move that meeting. We could take that item, move it to another. We do know that there's a couple of things. For example, there's a group that's reviewing those and getting that information back to you. Not everyone is going to be here, so if the board's desire to postpone that item, that is completely within your purview, but we'd love to get some direction on that because we need to either cancel that meeting or reschedule it. So, but again, that is up to you. So I just point that out. So, but that is my report for this evening.
I have a question. With the potential moving of the meeting, can we just move that to the next month's work session? I mean, how heavy is October's work session? Do we have an idea yet?
Very doable.
I think it's doable. Okay.
Yeah, I think that works for me. Yes, so we would like to move cancel the September work session and move that one item to the October work session.
To October work session.
Team a chance to really dig into those applications and.
So we've got consensus.
Yes.
That's correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board comments. Commissioner Davis?
Just want to put it out there regarding, I know there's a lot of construction that is going on, and I'm receiving a lot of phone calls in regarding the construction that is happening in front of the Boys and Girls Club at the corner of Old Bun and Shepherdskill Road. I know it is a pain, especially now that school has started. I talked with Ty about it. Just bear with us as the town is trying to do improvements to road infrastructure. So it is a lot right now, but I ask everybody to be safe in that intersection right now. It is the school year, so between 8 and about 8:30, and we actually start about 7:45 to about 8:30 in the morning, to 2:30 to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just ask everybody just to be patient, but we're trying to do what we can do, and I thank those construction workers that are out there. That's all that I have.
Commissioner Baxter?
All right, so get out your pencils, everyone. We have Rock the Block coming up this Friday, the 12th. And then on Saturday, there is, from Comic World, Epic Mighty Con is going to be taking place at the Wendell Community Center. We have got County Commissioner Vicki Adamson is going to be at our very own library on September 17th at 11:30. And we have a couple of candidate forums on the 16th and 30th. And then there is a meet and greet from Shepherd's Care on the 20th. And that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Miles?
First, I want to thank Ms. Farmer for coming, giving a great presentation tonight, personally coming out and kind of connecting with the community. I'm looking forward to see what kind of partnership we can build with that. So excited about that. Thank you for that. Thank all in attendance tonight at the meeting. Always a pleasure seeing the audience, Phil.
Commissioner Harrison?
Thank you. I just want to take this time to thank our Town of Zebulon staff. We know that the last few months have been top-heavy, and you all have worked collaboratively to ensure that the town has continued to run in a level of expectation of excellence. And we want to, the board, the entire board, I'm sure, want to just thank you guys for your hard work and your dedication in ensuring that our residents and our entire community has everything that we need, and that we have what we need as well to make good decisions, knowledge-based decisions. And we just really appreciate the work that you guys are doing. And so I really just wanted to take the time and just thank our town staff for all that you all have been doing, the extra hours that we know you've been putting in, and for just being the rock stars that you are. Thank you all so much.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor? Meeting adjourned.